Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time FPL, the number one fantasy Premier League football podcast with two South Africans, one in the UK, one in Canada. I'll check the stat, it's legit. But if you're watching for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you for listening. We do appreciate it. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for coming back. We hope we have a good episode for you today. For those of you that haven't yet, don't forget to check out our mini league. The link will be in the description. It's not too late to join. Mike is very keen to have people to try and dethrone me because guess what? After this week, well, last week, I'm now top of the league.
What is wrong with you people? Like, look at his smug face. Can you not? Can you not help me? Take him out. You let him take first spot on a league that he invited the entire world to, and he's still at the top. Really? The only league I can top is the one that I'm not in without him. So please, I beg of you, help me dethrone this Man City.
It was this bad. No, speaking of which, we'll touch on that later. But it was a green arrow for most of us. For you and me, we had a bit of a small green arrow this week. Arsenal assets really hurting us at the end of the day again, which we'll talk about a bit later. Bit of a doubt on the captain choice, but I mean, does that mean you always captain Haaland? We'll chat into that a bit later. But before we talk about this coming game week, there's a few things that we should discuss about midweek fixtures. Particularly a man named Duran.
Duran, he's back. He's bad. He comes off the bench. He scores a goal every week. He scored a goal from the starting lineup this week in the midweek fixtures. So he's on fire.
He's on the radar for sure.
I can't think. Yeah, we'll talk about him a little later. But just Duran is on fire, and he's such a good player. He almost feels like he needs his own team. And sharing the spotlight with Watkins
like
is almost
maybe Brentford should have got Duran. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. But
he's fire.
City? What City news? No Haaland?
Well, no Haaland possibly this week. I don't know. He is away for compassionate leave for that funeral. But so far, that hasn't really affected him in the league. And it was interesting to see that City went with a false nine this week, obviously without Haaland, with Foden in that free roaming role. So it's false nine role.
Yeah.
So that's something we can maybe expect to see if they're resting Haaland or if he's injured. Does that mean Foden actually becomes an interesting pick a little later? But the worry, of course, for this week is, does Haaland actually do that? We'll talk about that later too. Otherwise, you and your Chelsea shirt can tell us about how you're buzzing after that West Ham and Barrow win.
You know what? I will continue wearing a Chelsea shirt every podcast episode until we perform badly, because I am actually super impressed at how Maresca's handling this team. I'm super happy with the results. Yes, you could say it's Barrow or 5-0, United beat Barnsley 7-0. The thing is, it's a statement victory, and it's like, I feel like Pochettino's Chelsea might have won 1-0, maybe 2-0. So I enjoy that. Also, they've rotated a completely new set of 11. Those players are still playing hard. It's good competition in the team. I mean, who do you start now? Nkunku or Jackson? Nkunku goes and scores a hat-trick. It's such a dilemma.
Don't tell them next week, pods.
Sorry, next week.
That was a good game, and the thing is, you are right. This is as a Chelsea supporters, we've seen us going to games like that where we should win and come out with a scruffy.
And I'd be nervous, like if you'd be worried, But
this is what it's supposed to be. We put them in their place, and Chelsea just looked miles and miles ahead. And that team didn't rock up like they did at Servette and kind of just lazily not want to be there. I think Maresca's got them playing for their position. So basically, Nkunku's putting down a marker and saying,
probably why Jackson scored. Yeah, because Maresca's like, Jackson, you better go do something. Otherwise, Nkunku's taking your place. And he goes and gets a brace. So, yeah.
Even Gusto came back onto that right.
He looked great. Man. He looked fit.
He got an assist. So so it's good. It's good. It's looking for Chelsea.
Last thing before we turn it into a Chelsea podcast is that it's definitely a team that we need to start looking out for over the next couple of weeks.
Start. Who's got Jackson in their team?
Shut up. Who's got Palmer in their team?
I only have Jackson because I can't afford
this guy. Just a side note for like those of you listening, like, I bring in Cole Palmer 2 weeks ago. So this guy, the esteemed gentleman sitting next to me, well, in Canada, decides, let me match him. Jackson. Okay. I'm like, huh? That's a bit rogue. And Jackson hasn't been performing. Okay, gets an assist and a goal. Okay, gets a brace and an assist. Like, get out of here, man.
You could just see that Jackson was building up to something. So without Palmer affordability, Jackson
Yeah,
became a good
fair
option to
play.
test out. And it was a bit of a gamble, but it's kind of worked
Worked.
out. And then this last thing, just before we get into the meat of this, is I don't know. Did you see the City Arsenal game? Did you watch at least some of the craziness that was going on?
It felt like a Sunday league match with the
Oh
drama
my
that
goodness.
went on.
Well, it was just Man City. You see these videos of them passing the ball for like 10 minutes in front of the box. Arsenal locked down, parking the bus. Man City just passing and passing and passing and passing. And then at the end of the game for them, firstly to get that red card, which in my opinion, if whether it's harsh or not, still is Trossard shouldn't be doing something like that in the yellow.
Mm.
So, but then for Haaland to throw the ball against Gabriel's head after they concede the goal. And then Haaland at the end of the game, like, and before that, he starts like pushing everybody around. Like, I think Haaland just lost his head. And then at the end of the game, he's telling everyone to be humble, be humble. He tells Arteta, be humble. And then Gabriel comes up to him and it's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He's like, I'm not talking about anything, you effing clown. Telling Gabriel. It was hilarious. So
Uh,
I'm all for it, honestly, especially if it's not my team that's getting themselves into
it's
trouble.
it's interesting that the Arsenal City is now a bigger rivalry than United and City is. Like, I know there'll always be a Manchester derby, but at the moment it's class when they face off. It's good fun. It was
But
entertaining.
it really was. But now on to the big one. I've been talking about this all week. We talked about it. We and Nate have been talking about this straight after we watched that Liverpool game and we both sighed.
A deep
Sighed.
salad. Nah, that's trying too hard.
Pose pose a question to you. Is Diaz a replacement for Salah? What do you think, Nate?
It hurts because I think that it's time to move away from Salah.
But you played your wild card to get him in.
Nah, yeah, I did. Contradictions. Well, and that's all we have time for because apparently Nate can't keep true to what he wants to do. No, look, that's why it's painful because he's the only one that's given me a stinker. Because I wildcard him in, doesn't get a goal against Forest, he doesn't get a goal against Bournemouth. So it's like, it brings you the question of 12.8 million, brought him at 12.5, but 12.8 million at the moment. Is the points worth it? You asked me this question about Trent. 7 million. Is his points worth it? And I was like, if I had Gabriel Raya, I would be getting more points. I'm wondering if we can find other players that are performing at that level for Salah money. And Diaz or Diaz, whatever you want to say, is one of those contenders. Him and Mbuemo. So
Yeah,
it's worth
I just
considering.
looked at Salah these last couple of game weeks, and I don't know if it's his age catching up with him, but
He
he had
started
a
like firing, and then you're just
but
like,
that's because he had the whole summer off, right? He comes
yeah.
back, he's on fire.
Now it's like week
He
in, week
flies
out.
back. He flies back once to Egypt and comes back after the international break tired. And it seems he was just behind the pace. Everything he tried never came off. He was still involved. It just looked weak. His shots were pathetic. And it was like he forgot how to play football. My worry, though, is that what if he turns
Yeah,
back,
it's
like
also
after he
Wolves
gets
though.
back?
Like Salah has a record against Wolves. He always scores. So
That being true, but Diaz didn't. There's a couple. Jota comes um
yeah,
from Wolves, right? So we've got this like big sort of debate because we both have those out there. We both have Salah and Jota. We recognize that we made a mistake and we should have gone Salah,
Diaz.
Diaz.
Yeah,
And the question on everybody's mind now is what do we do with Salah and Jota? And I'm actually leaning on holding Salah. That's my big thing right now. Because I feel like with everybody moving off Salah, he's still Mr. Consistent.
he's still
He's still
Salah.
chipping with the points. I know you're upset that he didn't return as much as Haaland, but he did 3 points less than Haaland. And I still think Salah was the right choice because he should have got more goals and Haaland shouldn't have scored against Arsenal. So I think that I'm not on the Diaz for Salah swap yet. I'm almost definitely the Jota for Diaz,
But
right?
at this point, it's a bit out of the price range because Diaz is now sitting at 7.9.
Yeah, he'll probably be 8 by the time I want to make that changeover.
Yeah,
But he's still worth it though. He's still worth that +5.
yeah,
And so if you're on a wild card and you're trying to balance your team out, go for Salah out for Diaz, I think. I
yeah.
think if you need the money and you want to bring in Watkins, we'll talk about that later, do it. But if you are not doing a wild card and you're not taking extra point hits and you don't have enough to make that 3 transfers to make this work, I hold Salah. I still think he's an FPL asset for the last 6 years.
Yeah, he's consistent. He's consistent. Like the only other player to be as consistent as him is De Bruyne, and like so, it's
De
just
Bruyne is
proof.
out injured all the
Yeah.
time. So I'm gonna hold one more week before I make a change,
It's
and
wise. It's
hopefully,
definitely the smarter thing to do.
especially considering what you've just done to your team. So I
Shut
will.
up! You don't know
I don't
nothing.
know what you.
You don't
I
know
don't know
Jon
what you
Snow.
did.
You don't know nothing.
I don't know what you
Stole
did.
my login details or something. I don't know. I sent what he's talking about is we have a little group on WhatsApp, and I sent multiple variations of transfers that I'm looking at. I haven't locked in any yet. I'm going to confirm what I'm planning to do now on the pod. But in any case, on the back of that Salah conversation, having him not hold another man who we thought would be locked out, who wasn't really. I mean, he kind of was compared to him getting 2 hat tricks and then a brace to score 1 goal at home against Arsenal shows Arsenal's defense. Number one, something we need to talk about is Arsenal assets, but it just proved that we should have just left the captaincy ban on Holland.
I know, but at the same time, I always go with FPL a little more on the statistical side. And there was a better chance Salah was going to have a better game than there was of Haaland having
It's
a good
true.
game. Like, so for me personally, I don't think I made a mistake. I would have made a mistake if
Got a
Salah
brace.
blanked
Oh yeah,
completely,
yeah. At least
right?
he got
And
something.
Haaland
Yeah,
got more than one return. But with Haaland with that one return and Salah with a less than one, but just not just as much, I think it was still evens out. It's not the worst.
yeah.
So yeah, it would have taken us up a little extra couple of points, but not the worst. But speaking about Arsenal, bro,
This
are
fixture
you?
run. Oof.
Just so everybody knows, this guy had like 3 transfers saved. So
Yeah, yeah.
how many Arsenal assets did you bring in?
I haven't made changes yet because you know me, I like to wait as long as possible, but I also like to beat the price rise. So, fortunately for me, Weezer went down last night, but he rose to 6.1, so I could afford waiting. So he's currently at 6 mil, so I need to just watch that.
But
Um,
Gabriel went up.
I know Gabriel went up, but Gabriel's not really gonna affect my budget too much because I have to get rid of someone to afford what I need to do, and his name is Mohamed Salah.
I knew it. I knew it. It's perfect for me. I'm loving it because
I
I
know
get to
you
sit with
are.
Salah. I get to sit with Salah and watch him return when everybody takes him out.
And I have to
So
move him, like, because so here's the dilemma. Here's the dilemma. I want Mbuemo, right? Who doesn't want Mbuemo? The problem is that the genius in me decided to double up on the Brentford keepers, which means Brentford keepers plus Wisa is already 3 players. So I can't just swap Jota to Buemo. I need to take out Wisa. So I'm taking out Wisa and I'm taking out Jota to put in Mbuemo. I can't afford an Arsenal attacker. I was looking at Havertz because I want to double up. If I want Havertz, I need to take out Salah. And if I take out Salah, I put in Saka. So then I go Saka Havertz instead of Salah Jota. So that's the play. But I'm also very considering to holding Salah, taking out Wisa and putting in DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or Vardy. That's the toss-up, which is
I'm
the
looking.
smarter decision. Smarter decision.
Uh,
But
I'm looking forward to make you stressing about all those decisions because I know what
it's
the
so much.
decision I'm making. But looking at Arsenal, just to sum it up, Gabriel, Saliba, and Raya as a defensive three are solid. Are they immense? Okay, any one of them is going to be a potential boon to your team.
Yeah.
I would say for me personally, a double up of Raya and Gabriel is going to be the best because of his goal, the threat. Gabriel's goal threat, and both of their clean sheets.
Mm.
And if you could only get Raya, I don't think that's a bad thing either, considering the price for Raya is a little better than Gabriel or Saliba.
Mm.
So you get that 0.5 off him minimum. Saka is still consistent,
I
and
know
it
he's
frustrates me because
every game week he's been assist, and and the set pieces also, like, oh man,
I would almost think that because I don't have Palmer but I have Jackson, having maybe a Jackson Saka
mm,
instead of a Palmer might be a way to get into that Saka. But to get Saka, I'd have to sell Salah. So
exactly, and
I'm not
that's
I'm
my
not
boat. So I look, it's not guaranteed, it's not locked in. I'm more leaning towards holding Salah and getting Mbuemo and maybe Calvert-Lewin and Vardy, but it's a punt to climb to go double Arsenal because of their fixtures coming up. They've got Leicester at home, they've got Southampton at home, and then they've got the Bournemouth away. Very good fixtures to look at capitalizing. After this game week, Liverpool have a little bit of a fixture swing, but not enough. But I think it's going to be content for the podcast if I had to move to Arsenal and you move to stay with Liverpool. Something to think about for me.
I like thanks for highlighting those fixtures. It's really good fixtures for Arsenal, and they still fixture proof, so you can trust them even with the tough fixtures
The
that come
question
up.
is Havertz, though. That's the problem for me.
I'm out.
I know you
I
had him
got my
and he burned you, so
I
maybe he
got my
doesn't burn me.
no, I didn't burn. I still got some points out of him. I just feel like there's way better options in the front line than
Yeah,
Havertz. There's Watkins, there's Duran, there's
I agree.
Jackson,
I do
there's
agree with you,
uh,
but not for
it's too
Arsenal.
much.
There's no better
No.
option for Arsenal in the front because
Well,
Havertz is going to play number 9.
if you're not gonna have Salah, then you have more than enough money to afford Saka in your midfield.
Yeah,
So that I don't see the reason why you need a Havertz unless you're trying to have a representative in there and you have a better choice of 5 midfielders.
yeah,
But even if you have better choice of 5 midfielders and you don't have Saka, there's still at least 2 better forwards than Havertz.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't think it's really covering anything. And the defense of Arsenal covers as much as the attack does. So you
Yeah.
might as well just invest in the
Just
defense.
do a defense. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Quickly,
agree.
just to Aston Villa. Rogers finally
I know.
returned.
Oh my word! I messaged you and I was
Af-
like, Mike, wake up, because the games are in, like, Mike's still sleeping because it's early morning, and I'm like, Mike, wake up. Guess what? Guess what? Rogers hold. I was so
It's
happy.
like blank, 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 5 blanks, and you're like, and he comes back with a 10. Like, really? Like, I would say if you're gonna take anything from this podcast, 2 teams you got to look at the next couple of weeks: Arsenal and Villa,
Mhm.
Arsenal and Aston Villa. They are looking like they are popping. Rogers starting to return. He always looks good. Now he's got the points on FPL. Watkins is starting to cook. Okay, he's coming back
Duran
to
is
full.
always cooking. He's been chefing.
Yeah. Duran, third striker option. I think he's insane. I suggested to my friend to bring him in and he didn't, and he keeps scoring points. I think he's the best third striker you can have, especially if you are going to be sitting with a little bit of a bench and you want him on your bench even.
I agree
Because
with you. If you're starting 2 strikers, get rid of João Pedro and Danny Welbeck. Just pull the trigger, put in Duran, because you're not playing him. You're starting your 2 other strikers, whether that's like DCL, Havertz, Haaland, whatever, Vardy. The list goes on. Chris Wood, my word, still hauling points as well. Have him on your bench, because if one of those strikers, like João Pedro, not starting, guess who would have been on the bench? Duran. So
and Brighton have a bit of a tough fixture
yeah, they do have a bit of a
uh,
swing coming up.
uh, because it's Chelsea coming up now. So
Yeah, Chelsea's gonna
Chelsea's
crush Brighton, bro. You know what?
well, the Caicedo testimonial might end up with being, and Sanchez is also from there, remember? And Sanchez is in
Cucurella.
form right now. There's like 2 hauls for Sanchez as well. Cucurella is in form. It's like we spent a long time thinking Brighton fleeced us, but now we like maybe we should pay Brighton some more money because
Caicedo.
Cucurella,
Yeah.
Caicedo, and Sanchez are
Actually
doing
cooking.
the work.
Yep.
Right? But let's just wrap this up with some captain choices.
Yeah.
Who's your number 1 captain choice this week?
Okay. So probably going to be Erling Haaland. I'm scared. I'm scared of not captaining Erling Haaland. And although Newcastle are like pretty good at the moment, they did just come off a 3-1 defeat to Fulham. Fair play to Smith Rowe, by the way, who you should have in your team. Losing to Fulham like that makes me think Haaland's just going to eat them up. If he's not there, which is likely, my vice captain is tied between whether I keep Salah or put it on Saka. So that's where I'm at.
Saka is I would say Saka is probably the next best captain choice. He's consistent. He's playing Leicester. They're playing at home. Out of Salah, Haaland, and Saka, Saka's the one playing at home.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
My only concern about Saka is the fact that Arsenal seem to, even though Saka always gets points, he seems to play a little bit more of a defensive game normally now.
Yeah, they're very
Arsenal are
slow with the
being
build-up
very
as well.
serious.
Yeah.
So like if I was going to invest my money, I'd put more money on Arsenal clean sheet than a Saka goal, is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, I'd
I
say
don't know
a
where the goal is
1-0,
coming from.
any goal, Gabriel header, Saliba header, Havertz, whatever. Just,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And I agree with your idea that Salah is the captain choice for Liverpool unless you have Diaz. If you have both, then you have an interesting conundrum to
And
play
let
with.
us know in the comments if you do have both, because I would be very curious to know what your decision will be, because I certainly don't know who to captain between the two of them if I had both. It'll be a toss up, because you're going to captain Salah, he's going to haul and you're going to be happy. He's going to not haul you because Diaz haul and you're going to kick yourself. So
Yeah. And also one thing about Man City game is it is the first game. That lunchtime game, early kickoff game normally tends to throw up some craziness, right? Now think about this. Man City comes out of an Arsenal derby where it's crazy. Okay. They have this court case going on. They have an early match, and Harling might miss that match if he doesn't get back in time. So, or he's tired, and they might go with their false nine that they tested. Those to me are more than enough ticks in the box to say maybe Holland isn't the best captain choice this week.
you heard
And
it
I
here
know
first,
that
ladies and gentlemen. For the first week, Ireland is not going to haul. Come back to this pod next week to see proof.
I
No.
think he's still a must-have in your team, and I think he can still. And I'm happy to have him haul well with my team as long as my captain still gets some points.
That's the thing. At least
Because
he's in your team, so you're not missing out on 9 points. So
yeah, so I think I'm probably gonna stick with Salah, especially considering that you might not have him at all. And so just some differential captains. You were talking about Havertz as the differential captain.
yeah, just because of the Saka Havertz combo and them playing at home, and if anyone else is going to score, it should be Havertz. But the way Arsenal are playing makes me think it's not really going to come from Havertz. So we'll have to see. Your picking Jackson might also be a good shot for this week because Chelsea are playing at home. They just won 5-0 at home. They come off the back of 2 away victories. Jackson's on form. Also, not a bad shot for a captain pick.
Yeah, if you have one to differential captain, you have Jackson or Palmer. I think they're going to be one of the two is going to be in the points. I would actually say Palmer's probably looking to peak right now. So I can see a hat trick from Palmer. Another one is Watkins. I'm looking closely at because they've got Ipswich. Their fixtures are about to turn a little tougher after this. This is their last big one, but rested from midweek with Duran in form. Having Duran behind him means he's being pushed. So, and
You
I
could
know
expect a goal.
his price is a little high, but if you have spending that Salah money, I think that
There you go.
Watkins is if you're not gonna have Duran, Watkins is your option up front. It's just we got to keep a look at the fixtures coming up for Aston Villa because they are playing midweek Champions League. They have got Man United, but then they got Fulham and Bournemouth sandwiched after that with some tough fixtures. So we still got 4 good fixtures out of Watkins. So I think I have a couple of friends that I'll be suggesting that they bring Watkins in this week, and they sell Salah and they replace Salah with Watkins and Diaz because
There
I
you
can't
go.
see you going wrong with that.
No, no. Well, I believe that's all we have time for.
It's going to be a big week this week,
It is
and
going to be a big week. It is.
I won't lie to you. I did consider playing my wild card because it did feel like a good time. Basically, like having a transfer every week is great, but this week, just like you, I felt that you needed 2 transfers at least to get the most out of that Salah move. So without me playing my wild card, it's either play my wild card and rebalance my team now, or hold it till later. And so there is a chance that I could play it. I don't think I will, but a lot of people are. There's over 300,000 managers hit that wild card
Yeah.
so far. I think I saw the stat. That was like 2 days ago. So they are wildcards being played. So don't be surprised if Salah's ownership drops with that wildcard being played and Diaz goes up. I expect Diaz to be 8 million next week.
Yeah. Well, there you go with that nugget of truth. We'll see you guys next week. Good luck. Let us know your captaincy choices for this week. Leave a like on the YouTube video and a comment down below. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week with either a very happy Mike or a very happy Nate. So we'll have to see what happens from that.
And can you all join the Added Time FPL League so that you can beat Nate, please?
The
Like, I
league
think
code's
it'll
on the
push
bottom of
people-
the video, like it's there and in the description. So you have no excuse. It's there for you.
Join. Is it? And if you push Nate to greater heights, right?
We'll have to do like we'll have to start enticing like a giveaway or something if people beat me, but that might get a bit messy. So we'll see how long I can hold the spot for. But nevertheless, it's a green arrow. We're happy. It's been a good week. We look forward to this game week, and it's going to be a differential between me and Mike. So have fun. May the points be ever in your favor as always, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Cheers, guys.